Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress. Only 73 days now till the World Championship match between Carlsen and Caruana in November in London. On Chess to Impress we continue the countdown, the build-up. The Carlsen-Caruana match will be number 47 in the history of the official and undisputed World Championship, and we'll look at all the other 46 events. We have arrived at Capablanca, defending his world title against young Alexander Aljochin in 1927. Alexander Alexandrovich Aljochin was born in Russia on October 31st, 1892. I pronounce his name as Aljochin because I once asked a Russian grandmaster what was the proper pronunciation of Aljochin's name, and this is how he more or less pronounced it. Aljochin was soon infatuated with chess. This is quite a nice anecdote. During school lessons he used to switch off from his surroundings. Once, during an algebra test, he suddenly leaped up. "Have you solved it?" asked the teacher. "Yes, I sacrificed a knight and white wins," said Aljochin. Several players like Rubinstein, Marshall and Nimzowitsch challenged Capablanca for the world title, but unfortunately could not secure the funding. Aljochin was more successful. He was backed by the Argentinian Chess Federation, and a match was held in Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina. Aljochin had never won a game against Capablanca, who was considered a favorite for the match. And the time control was 2.5 hours for 40 moves, and the first to win 6 games. A format that was going to be used for many years. Even in the 80s, Karpov and Kasparov used that format. $10,000 in prize money was available. And here we see both players in action. World champion Capablanca on the right and his challenger Aljochin on the left. Usually I give the score of the match now, but Stephen James in the comments told me, why do you not do that after you show one of the games, so that the result of the game is not known yet by the viewers. And that's what I'll do. We're gonna look at game 21 of this match. Let's get into it. The game was played on the 26th of October 1927. White was world champion José Raul Capablanca and black his challenger Alexander Aljochin. The score in the match was 3-2 to Aljochin at this time, while the last 8 games had ended in a draw. Let's see what happened in game 21. d4 from Capablanca and d5 from his challenger. c4, e6, knight c3, knight f6. We have a queen's gambit. Bishop g5, knight went to d7, e3, bishop developed, knight developed, Aljochin castled, rook c1, and a6 was played by the challenger. This was Aljochin's main move in this match. He played it 8 times in total in this match, while in the same position, when Capablanca was black, he played c6 and played that 13 moves. So the queen's gambit declined was really the opening of this match, which lasted a total of 34 games. So a6 from Aljochin, and here c takes d5 is the move recommended by Aljochin, who calls the move played in the game a tame move. The world champion played a3 here. h6 kicking the bishop, bishop dropped back, and Aljochin took on c4. Bishop takes, and here c5 was played in the previous 4 games where Aljochin was black. And he calls the move from the game more natural and better, and that was b5. So he found an improvement after 4 games where he played c5. Bishop dropped back, and here c5 is more accurate according to Garry Kasparov, who analyzes this game in his series My Great Predecessors. But Aljochin plays bishop b7. And now Kasparov says white really has to play b4. This move is setting up a bind. Black has now a backward pawn. Aljochin himself doesn't see b4 as a problem. He suggests a5 in reply, with black obtaining the initiative, he says. Interesting that 2 world champions are disagreeing about the evaluation of this position. But Capablanca did not play b4. He castled on the 12th move. And now c5. Good move. D takes, knight takes, and knight d4. Aljochin comments here that white doesn't have an atom of an advantage, and thought it would be more logical to simplify the position by swapping the queens. So Alekhine thought that Capablanca should have taken on d8 first. Rook takes back and then rook fd1. But knight d4 was played by Capablanca. Rook c8, and now Capablanca played b4. Kasparov writes this is an unforced weakening of the c4 square, and Alekhine thinks that bishop f3 should have been played instead. Queen b6 and queen e2 with equal chances. This was a variation from Alekhine. But b4 was played, and knight cd7. An unusual decision. Kasparov thinks Capablanca had expected knight c2 e4 here instead of knight c2 d7. Capablanca replied with bishop g3. According to Grandmaster Kotov, knight b3 is a better move. Knight b6 on its way to the very nice square on c4, and then knight a5 controlling that square. Kotov writes, it must have been very difficult for Capablanca to move his knight from its excellent central square to the edge of the board. Yes, the knight on a5 is somewhat cut off, but on the other hand it's controlling the c4 square. But Capablanca did not want to play his knight away from d4. As said, he played bishop g3. Knight b6 on the way to c4, and now it's not too late to play knight b3, but Capablanca played queen b3. Knight fd5. Another surprise according to Kasparov, who believes that Capablanca had only expected the knight coming to c4. He played bishop f3 and rook c4, and Kasparov says this was again a surprise for Capablanca. Not the knight is coming to c4, but the rook. And Kasparov writes, I think that in this match Capablanca simply did not guess some of his opponent's moves. He played knight e4, queen c8, and he took on c4. Alekhine calls this the decisive positional error, and thinks that queen b1 should have been played instead, threatening both knight d6 and bishop d6 according to Alekhine. After rook takes c4, the knight took back, rook c1 and queen a8. Now black has threats of knight takes e3 and knight takes b4 after black will regain the piece on e4, which he's attacking twice. And this threat forces white to retreat the e4 knight. Knight c3 was played. Rook c8, and now knight d2 is a threat. Capablanca tried to solve his problems by swapping some pieces. Knight takes d5, bishop takes, and queen takes. Kasparov writes, white's position is already strategically lost, although Capablanca would not appear to have made any serious mistakes. It's really quite something to achieve this on move 25 in the Queen's Gambit. a4 was played by the world champion, and Alekhine writes, the wish to reduce the pawn material on the queen side is logical, but white's position remains compromised. Kasparov says Capablanca becomes nervous and does not offer the maximum resistance. The game goes on, bishop f6, knight f3, and now a very nice move, bishop b2. Kasparov writes, the beginning of the end. Before pushing the e-pawn, black activates his bishop. And don't think you can get two pieces for the rook, because white has a weak back rank. If you take on c4, and now the bishop is unprotected, rook takes, winning the second piece for the rook, then you get checkmated. Mate on the next move. So after bishop b2, you have to come up with something else, and Capablanca played rook e1. Rook d8. A pair of pawns was swapped on the queen side, and h3. Some much needed heir for His Majesty, but it comes too late, as we'll see, because there comes the e-pawn. e5. Rook b1. Now white is threatening to win bishop and knight for the rook, but black has a nice tactic. He plays e4. The knight is attacked and you have to play that knight. Knight e1 is not good because of queen d2, and the variations turn out favorable for black. Knight h2 doesn't work either because of queen d3, and there are lots of variations, but they are all good for black. I'll show you one of them. Rook takes b2 looks like an option, protecting the queen. Queen takes, rook takes, but then rook d1 check. You have to interpose the knight, and then knight d2. Winning the piece back, but also attacking the rook. If you play rook a3, you win your piece back with black. With a deadly discovered move from the knight is now in the position. Bishop f4, for example. Knight takes e3 check. The rook gives now check to the king. King h2 and knight c2, and black is winning here. Just to show you one of the variations. After e4, Capablanca saw that knight e1 and knight h2 do not work, so he played knight d4. The knight was taken, and e takes d4, queen takes d4, wins a pawn for black with a winning position. Capablanca played rook d1, and that's a blunder. A blunder in a bad position. He's spinning the bishop, hoping to win the piece back that way, but knight takes e3 was the final move of the game. A great final shot. Black wins in all variations. Alekhine said Capablanca lost this game only because he did not realize the dangers of his position in time. And Kasparov says the 21st game came as a shock to the champion and the entire chess world. No one had yet defeated Capablanca in such a way. What told is Alekhine's superiority over his opponent in complex, dynamic positions. So why did Capablanca resign here? Well, for starters, after knight takes e3 you cannot take back, because your queen is hanging. That's easy enough. So what if we take black's queen first before taking the piece back? Then rook takes d5, and if you then take the piece on e3, then there is bishop takes e3, and that is check. King f1, there goes the rook. King e2, attacking two pieces with the king, but rook d3 solves two problems in one go, and it's easy to see that black is winning here with his extra rook. Let's try something else. Let's try queen takes d5, rook takes d5, and then rook takes d4. What about that? Does that help? It doesn't. Rook takes d4. Yes, you can take the knight back, but after rook takes b4, you're just an exchange down and a couple of pawns, and again an easy win for black. Finally, what if we take the knight with the queen? Then bishop takes queen, rook takes queen, bishop takes f2 check, king takes f2, and rook takes d5, and again black has an extra exchange and two extra pawns, and black is winning. So after knight takes e3, that great final shot, all variations are bad for white, are completely lost, and Capablanca threw in the towel, and now the score was 4-2 in favor of Alekhine. First to 6 would win the match. And we had a new world champion because Alexander Alekhine won the match 6-3 after 34 games. You can see there game 21 that we looked at, that made the score 4-2 in favor of Alekhine. Then we saw another series of draws. Capablanca won game 29, made it 4-3, but he lost 2 of the last 3 games, making it 6-3 to Alekhine, and Alekhine was crowned the 4th official and undisputed world champion. Alekhine defended his title 2 years later in 1929 against Efim Bogolyubov, and that's what the next video is about. Hope you enjoyed this video and that you will count down towards the Carlsen-Caruana match with me. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel, and please leave a comment. If you liked the video, it would be great if you could share it on social media, and the playlist of this series is here. And you can also find it in the description box. This is Rick for Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.